Here they come. Happy Thursday, folks. I hope everyone's doing well. We are back. Let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Hello, Illinois. Glad to have you with us. Making sure everybody's set up for success here, folks. Here we are, the first week of October already. Can't believe it. Hello, Toronto, Kentucky, Calgary. Folks, we have an amazing session planned for you. I'm very, very excited. We'll get started shortly here. Let folks settle on in. Hello, Fiji. Welcome back. Glad to have all joining with us. Make sure if you're joining us, I know we opened up the room a couple minutes early for you fantastic folks, to turn your chat over to everyone. This way folks get to see, your great comments, pieces of advice if you're giving any, questions, things like that. It's a good thing to have it moved over. So welcome Texas. We got people down from Portland, Massachusetts. I hope everyone's well. I can't believe here we are once again. I went for the smooth jazz today. I was feeling it. This was my mood this morning. Aloha, Hawaii, welcome. I have some great friends down your way, actually. Get a little jealous when he sends out pictures of him on his, when he's out surfing the waves. It's very nice. I haven't been yet. Coming, hopefully, so. Hello, Iowa. Hi, Stace, welcome back. We'll get started in a few minutes, folks. Let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Don't be shy. Please say hello. Kaime just made a good point. Please, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, we would love to have you join us. It's our Hi Mama Circle Time group. It's a fantastic, amazing group of educators all around the world, sharing great ideas, tips, tricks. It's such a nice place to be, such a nice community. If you have not joined it, highly, highly recommend. I'll get Miss Kaya here to pop it into the chat for you. And please do take some time to join us. Just make sure to answer the questions as well, folks. We have them there just so, community's safe. We want to make sure everybody feels comfortable. So please do. A couple more minutes. We'll get started. Some more folks down from Massachusetts. Hello, Bahamas. Jealous. Hello, Kentucky. Glad to have you all joining us today. Very excited to welcome on our special guests in a little bit. Hello, Seattle, Boston, Michigan. Hello, Kelowna. I'm so glad to hear some folks have been very excited for this session. Yes, I have too. I feel like I'm going to have so many key takeaways from today. It might be a bit overload, but I'm looking forward to it. Folks all the way from Pakistan, welcome. Hello, we got Edmonton, Michigan, Tennessee. If you're just joining us, folks, make sure to pop your chat over to everyone. So this way folks can see where you're coming from, comments, all those great points coming through. Hello, Lebanon. Yes, everything, Jen. We'll be coming out to you. We'll make sure to include everything in not just our show notes email, but they also do go onto our blog page as well. So you'll be able to get the slides. Those will be in the email for you, as well as in part of the download from the blog show notes page if you like. Hello, more folks here. New Jersey, Ontario, Georgia, St. Catharines. Welcome, folks. Couple more minutes. We'll get started. Glad to hear some folks really enjoying the sessions. Glad to have you. Glad we can do this for you. I know this is, it's a Thursday, middle of the work week almost. I hope everyone has some nice plans for the weekend. I know for here up in Canada, we're getting ready for our Thanksgiving weekend. I know some of you folks down in the US are having Columbus Day. I agree, Miss Kaya. Please do check out Tania's podcast. Wow. Was that ever a listen? And we'll go more later, but holy moly. It was loaded with just some great pieces. Please do take some time to give that a listen. We have some great stuff coming up for you today. One more minute, then we're going to roll into all the fun. I know folks are still rolling in here, so glad to have you joining us if you're joining us now. We're going to get started here in just a moment. I know folks are still rolling in. Oh, thank you so much, Stacy. We're glad to have you be a part of our journey. Glad to have you with us. One more moment. Folks just joining us, please do say hello in the chat. Turn your chat over to everyone so that folks can see all your great tips, tricks, comments, questions you might have. Can spark some great conversation with someone. You never know what's going to happen between 2 and 3 on a Thursday afternoon with Hi Mama Helps. All right. I think it's time let's get started here because we have a lot packed in to today's session, and I want to make sure to give our special guests as much time as always. Glad you can make it with us here. I know some of you folks are just joining us, so please do take a chance to say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from, as well as make sure to turn your chat over to everyone so we can see all the great comments that are coming through. I'm seeing tons of people coming in from across the pond. Welcome. All of our good friends here from Canada and the US, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have never been with us before, just a quick disclaimer, as always, we are not the faces of legal or financial advice here, nor would you want me to be. I did not go to legal school, folks. At the end of the day, we want you to take away tips, tricks, techniques, things like that you can implement in your center. If you're looking at making big changes, just make sure you're consulting the right people. So whether that be your, licensing representative possibly, or a legal or financial advisor of some kind, take some time. Have some conversations with them, make sure you're doing the right things before you make a huge change at your center, depending of course on what you're doing. We are going to just jump into our land acknowledgement.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate.
And we're just going to jump in as well to our diversity inclusion statement.
Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
Folks, as always, in case this is your first time joining us, we are recording the session. So if you do have to leave, we hope you don't have to, but we understand if you do. If you do have to leave, the whole session is recorded. We will be sending out the recording in the show notes email, as well as we will make it available on our blog show notes page for you. It comes as a download, so you just have to fill out a small form. We'll send you everything in a nice little neat package right to your inbox. If you would like to use the closed caption, please do hit that tab. It's there for you to utilize if you need it. We're also recording with that on as well. Next up, I've mentioned 2 or 3 pieces of this part, but certificates. So if you're sitting here in the live session today, we will be sending out participation certificate later on, should be in your inbox by early next week. And as well, we will be sending out a template for those who are watching the recording. It will be in the show notes email, as well as part of your download if you are going from the blog as well. Okay. Keep an eye out. Everything should be in your inbox by early next week. Make sure to check. For some reason, sometimes my email likes to go to your spam or junk. Don't know why, but it's coming from me, folks. Last but not least, if you're having any trouble, really hope you're not, please do seek support.zoom.us. They know their product the best, folks. They can help you out, especially if you are having technical difficulties with Zoom itself. Okay. Next up, if you've never met us before, just a quick little one here, please do take some time to chat with us. We'd love to be having further conversation with you about how Hi Mama can help you within your classroom, within your center, from a variety of different aspects. So if you're an educator here with us today and you're wanting to learn more about how we can help you with your lesson planning, activity planning, just managing your assessments, things like that, there's a whole pile of pieces we can help you out with. If you're in the front office and you're looking to help with some of your admin work, we can definitely help you out there with dealing with families, communication, all those great pieces that make a community within a center. We're here to help you and help you along the way. And helping you along the way, without further ado, is our whole support team. So if you're part of our Hi Mama family, you've had the pleasure of speaking with our support team and getting you into everything Hi Mama and getting you set up for success. We have a whole team dedicated here to help you along the way. And especially as you're everything's changing, growing on a daily basis. We're here to be a part of all that with you along your journey. So as well, you can find on our website tons of free resources. So from our podcasts, from our blog, from all of our free activities, to articles, to ongoing information, we are here to help you out. And all of those are available to you on our website. Please take some time to check it out. Last but not least, if you did not know, we are a B certified company. And what that means is that the impact that we do is a positive impact, which is amazing. And it has to do with all the fantastic people that we work with on a day-to-day basis. If you've never met me before, welcome to your first webinar. If you've been with us for a while, welcome back. I'm Ria. I am one of the early childhood educators here at Hi Mama, and I'm also the community ambassador and your host of Hi Mama Helps. Very excited to be welcoming on our special guest here in a moment, but on the chat, of course, my colleague in crime, Kaya, please do come on here. Always with us. Can't do this without you.
Hi, very, very excited for today's session. I am curious if anyone has either heard of Learning Without Tears or uses that program in their classroom. When I was in the preschool classroom, I took a workshop by Learning Without Tears and got certified with their program. And I can honestly say it was actually life-changing. It really, really changed my philosophy when it comes to fine motor skills and teaching handwriting and teaching those fine motor skills. So I'm so excited for today's session. We're going to put a special promo code for our audience today. If you are interested in learning more about Learning Without Tears, or if you want to take one of their workshops, I promise you it is well worth every single penny. So super excited for today's session. And if you need any help, I'm here on chat for you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kaya. We will obviously be there throughout the show, but without further ado, because we've been talking about Learning Without Tears, our 2 guests today, we have Christina and we have Tania joining us. Please do join us here. Maybe share a fun fact with us before we dive into the fun of today, ladies.
Sure, I'll go ahead first. My name's Christina Bretz, and I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. I am so excited to be here to talk with you all about Learning Without Tears. I'm one of the senior professional learning developers. Tania?
Well, thank you, Christina, and thank you, Ria. We are so excited to be here. And a fun fact about myself is that I have been married 3 times to the same person.
Oh,
Figure
okay,
that out.
Tania, stop. How'd you do that?
Well, I'm from England, and I got married in England, and then my husband's American, and I got married twice to him, first for immigration, and then a religious ceremony in America. So if I sound strange, it's because I've lived in the United States for 28 years. So
wow.
more than half my life in America. But some of the British, and I've seen some British people on with us today, we'll probably hear a little bit. But my parents, of course, think I'm completely American. So just so everybody knows, my background, just like Christina, is in occupational therapy. I trained to be an occupational therapist in England many, many years ago, and I worked in England, and then I moved to the United States. But my passion for more than 20 years has been working with educators, with young children. I came across what was Handwriting Without Tears and Jan Olson more than 20 years ago, and she changed my life at my first workshop that I attended. So I hope you guys get excited about today. We're just giving you a little snippet, but I hope what we provide for you will get you as excited as what we were back in the day. So I'll pass it back to Christina.
Most definitely. I totally agree, Tania. Well, we want to welcome everyone to today's webinar of how to teach fine motor skills to young children. We're going to be talking extensively about fine motor skills, but focusing on fine motor skills with the purpose of ultimately teaching grip to young children. Grip is a foundational skill for coloring, drawing, and writing. So we need to make sure we provide children the best opportunity to develop a functional grip. Therefore, we'll focus on the following learning outcomes. We will look at learning ways to boost fine motor skills. You're going to discover best practices for teaching grip, and you will understand how to promote coloring skills in a developmental progression. So let's begin by addressing the importance of developing fine motor skills, which are essential for developing a functional grip. So most adults take mastery of their fine motor skills for granted. We know that fine motor skills involve coordinating movements of complex muscle groups in the hands, wrists, and fingers. Buttoning a shirt, latching a zipper, and holding a pen are basic fine motor skills we often execute without even having to think about it. These are learned skills that come with countless practice sessions. However, by the time students reach kindergarten, they are expected to have developed a mastery of many of these skills. One important skill that children need to learn is how to hold a crayon or pencil with a functional grip in order to color, draw, and write letters. But before we talk specifically about grip, I'd like you to go to the chat right now and just chat in some of your favorite activities to boost fine motor skills in young children. And we know there's a lot of people on the call right now, Tania, so I'm excited to see what we get here for boosting fine. What are your favorite skills? See, Play-Doh, painting, tweezers. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, lots of Play-Doh.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I'd like to share too, as people are coming in with fine motor activities too, also remember that if children aren't too motivated for fine motor activities yet, I take them back to gross motor activities like throwing a ball, doing a balloon toss, because all of those large motor activities translate to helping with fine motor too. Have you seen that too, Christina?
Oh, most definitely. Yes. And I think we see a lot of more participation with gross motor skills, and then we get into those fine motor skills. But the one putting thread in holes, that is one of the lacing activities, is probably one of my favorites to do with children. There's so much that we can learn when children are participating in fine motor skills. So this is great. So let me share one of my favorite ways to boost fine motor strength with young children while also learning letters. And I saw a lot of you said Play-Doh. Well, as many of you have used Play-Doh to help children build their letters, but I want to show you how Roll-A-Dough is more than helping children develop their fine motor skills through rolling and pinching the dough. It is uniquely designed to help children build and sequence their capital letters and numbers correctly. There's a smiley face at the top to help children start their letters at the top, which you can see with the little girl holding the Roll-A-Dough tray there. And what I want to do right now is share a video so that you can see this in action. So let me go ahead and play this video. I want you to pay attention to the language that children use to make the letter H in this video. You'll hear the same terms as we show you some other letter building activities to boost fine motor skills. So let me just bring this on over so that you guys can see this video. Here we go.
So the letter that we're going to build today is what? It's an H. Can you tell me something that starts with the letter H?
House.
House. What else?
Horse.
Horse. What else?
Hitch.
Hitch. Oh, that's a good word.
Hedgehog.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everyone a piece of dough. And then I want you to roll that dough until it looks like this. So let's start rolling out. And we have to make sure this is what we're going to measure it against. We'll measure it against that. When it's that length, put it next to it, okay? Is yours the same size? Very good. Now we have our big line. Everyone sit, okay? So now I'm going to give you your boards and just leave it in front of you. Just leave it in front. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do.
Here we have this house.
So I know, right? So we have our H. And now to make our H, we need one big line goes here. And another big line goes here. I have a question. Excuse me just for a second. Can you tell me how many big lines do we need?
Two.
We need 2 big lines, so everyone needs 2 big lines. And now what else do you need for the middle? A little line. Where's your other big line? There you go. Big line, little line, leave it there. There's your little line. There's your little line, and there's your little line. So watch Miss Diane. Here's my H. I'm going to take my big line, watch me, and then it'll be your turn. My turn right now. I'm going to put it right here by that smiley face and smush it in. Your turn. You do it. Take your big line, put it by the smiley face, and smush it in. All right, let's get our second big line. Where does our second big line go? On the other corner, and make it fit in the other corner. Very good. Make it fit in the other corner. All right, so we only have one left. Where does this little line go? It goes in the middle. Now, what letter did we just make? We just made the H. Now, this is what I want you to do. Your blue board, turn it over and give me your H. We're going to make it a little trickier. Thank you. As on the other, we're going to make it a little trickier. Are you ready? What letter is this? There's no letter in there. There's no letter, but we're going to build a letter. Are you ready? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a big line. Watch Miss Diane first, and then it's your turn. I'm going to put my big line by the smiley face and smush it down. Does anybody have an idea? Your turn. You do it. Do it. Does anybody have an idea what letter we're going to?
1.
That looks like a 1, doesn't it? Yeah. We are going to make an H, but it's a little harder because there's no H in here for us to trace over, right? So after we put the big line, what's the next thing we're going to put? Another big one. And where does it go? In the other corner. So we just made another H. Let me see your H's. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, I love this video, and I saw in the chat, Hattie said, I love the my turn, your turn. And I think that is something that I love as well, Hattie. I think that's so powerful for us to say, hey, look at me, watch me, it's my turn. And then you're turning it over to the children to say, okay, now it's your turn. And just think about all the great activities that you can do with that roll-a-dough activity. Think about the different sensory media that you can use in there, whether it's rice or sand or shaving cream. There's so many other things. And I know this chat is so engaging. I love it that you guys are thinking of other things as well. So I think it's great to be able to have that my turn, your turn, as well as all of these sensory motor activities too. So remember, that smiley face is starting at the top, and it's going to also, children will help to sequence their letters correctly. But Tania, I want to turn it over to you because I want you to talk about one of my favorites, the Stamp and See screen.
Absolutely. But before I dive right into Stamp and See screen, oh my gosh, Rolodeau, I hadn't seen that video for a little while and all the way through, but it's teaching so much. So what we just talked about, the my turn, your turn, just like what you said, but look at how the teacher was sitting too. So she was sitting opposite them, making sure that hers was in the correct orientation. And the smiley face, you're going to see it with Stamp and See screen. We do it with our map forward pieces. We do it with so many activities where children are building their uppercase letters or capital letters and their numbers, because it can organize them to start in sequence. And let's not forget, we're here to talk about fine motor skills too, and how important they are for everything, for progressing, getting ready for kindergarten. I'm shocked at how hard it is for young children to roll snakes with dough. I mean, it looks easy, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you that teacher in that video, she had to roll some of the snakes for the children. They couldn't roll them all by themselves. It was just taking them too long and they were getting frustrated. We don't spend enough time sometimes doing these type of activities with children, and we wonder why they lack coordination or strength in their fingers. So something as simple as that, but of course it's so meaningful too for their letters. So yeah, I just couldn't leave it for that, right, Christina?
Another thing, Tania, that I just want to say that I've done a lot with children is just taking a 3-ring binder and placing that in front of them and having the Rolodeau that they have to roll up that incline. And that's a great way to strengthen those hand muscles as well.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, there's so much you can do, and making it functional like that. So let's not forget about the language of the big line, little line that we use for the capital H, because with the Stamp and See screen, it's the same thing. So I know many of you have used a Magnadoodle with children. So this has a similar design, but the smiley face is at the top to organize children as they stamp their letters. So the big line that you see here is a magnetic stamp, and then we have a little line, and then we have a big curve, and we have a little curve, just like that. So imagine if you were having children. Now, you remember those cards for Rolodeau? They will fit on this actual Stamp and See screen. So if children aren't ready to stamp the letter yet by themselves, you can put the actual card on here and it will come through. So watch me, it's my turn. Imagine I was demonstrate, because we always use that same language. I have a big line. I'm going to put it under the smiley face. Your turn. Watch me, it's my turn. I have a little curve. I'm going to stamp it at the top. Your turn. I know you're going to say the letter, but wait, I have one more turn. I have a little curve. Your turn. What letter is it? Of course, they're going to be excited they made a B. Can you see the power of the smiley face now? Can you see how it helps organize children to go left to right, top to bottom? Imagine where English is a second language, or where children have special needs, and all you're teaching them is 4 simple terms: big line, big curve, little curve, as they learn these first 26 symbols and their numbers. They're going to use this language for too. It's so easy to do, but of course we want all of our multisensory activities to progress with children, so they come with this little tool. And we'll talk about why it's so little like this when Christina talks to you more about grip. But then big line, jump to the top, little curve, little curve. They can actually write the symbol. So of course, Stamp and See not only teaches children letter recognition, right? Because alphabet knowledge is key to reading and of course key to writing too, but it organizes them as they learn to start at the top and sequence in that directionality in the correct order, setting them up for success, not just for their capitals, but later on as they progress down to their lowercase letters too. So let me just reinforce the importance of these fine motor skills for kindergarten readiness. Well, of course, they're essential to grip. I don't need to tell any of you this, right? Christina is going to dive into teaching grip in just a few minutes. But by you understanding that children need plenty of opportunities to refine their fine motor skills will enable you to have an easier time teaching grip to children. Even in this age of technology, we want to make sure they get a lot of those opportunities. Grip is also a precursor to small movement needed for coloring and drawing. When children hold a crayon, our goal is for them to color with little movements. So when they pick up a crayon, we want them to use these little movements, not large movements like they would do with sidewalk chalk, little movements, because little movements are the precursor for writing letters, right? Writing letters and numbers, not large movements. So the children that like to draw and color will have a much easier time learning to write their letters. So before we talk about grip, where I pass it back to Christina to talk about grip, I know a lot of you probably have questions about hand dominance of this age group. Of course, we need to ensure that children are coloring and writing with their dominant hand, right? But many times you're not sure which hand a child's favoring, because a lot of times when they color, they switch hands. They go back and forth. So instead of me telling you why I think a lot of times children will switch hands, why don't you put why you think children switch hands into the chat? Now we're talking here, about preschool children. So primarily 4 and 5. Now, when they're little, there may be reasons that they're not ready yet. They haven't established their hand dominance yet. But like Kathy said from Omaha too, that they can't yet cross the midline. Yeah, that can certainly be a factor as they're starting to develop. And one way that you can determine that too is a lot of times if you put a crayon in front of them, if they color with their right hand or pick it up with their left, you want to make sure that you're doing activities to certainly remedy that and have them cross over the midline. I love a balloon toss. What about you, Christina?
Yes, for helping with that, I love putting things in midline, telling the parents to do that as well, whether it's a spoon or a fork or a toothbrush or a brush. Think of those functional activities that they're going to be doing throughout the day and just start taking note of that, which hand they're picking those items up with.
Yep. But I see a lot of you are seeing what I see with young children at this age when they switch hands. A lot of them switch hands because they get tired. They haven't refined their skills yet. Their strength is not optimal yet. And either hand is kind of as good as the other. So in other words, the way that they're kind of holding it in their right hand feels very similar to when they hold it with their left hand. But the problem is when it comes to coloring, when it comes to handwriting, one hand does need to indeed be dominant, right? One hand has to be proficient. It's not like keyboarding where we're using 2 hands together. With handwriting, coloring, one has to be dominant. So if you're not sure which hand is the more skilled or dominant hand, of course, observe children when they're eating, throwing a ball, pouring liquid into a cup, stringing beads. As educators, you're going to work with parents and therapists to decide which hand a child favors, but I'm going to show you one of my favorite activities that I do. It's actually called the tapping song. If you have 2 pens on your table or 2 pencils or 2 of anything, if you have 2 of anything on your table, pick them up. And I have 2 wood pieces. Now you can imagine we're going to call these big lines. They're wood pieces, but we call them big lines. I love to do a tapping song where children will tap their wood pieces together just like this. So if you're playing along with me and you're tapping, I'm going to tell you that about 95% of you will tap with your dominant hand. Now, I'm not going to say it's foolproof, but in more than 20 years of doing this for children, it's one of my favorite things to look at, along with all those other things I talked to you about too. So certainly try that. It's a fun one. So we established the importance of fine motor skills for children to be ready for an appropriate grip. So Christina, why don't you move to the next really important outcome that I know they're all waiting for?
Yes, so this is to discover best practices for teaching grip. So if you follow these best practices, you can help ensure that children have the optimal grip, which will be with them for the rest of their lives. So the first thing to remember is that you have to teach grip. Don't assume that someone else is teaching it or that it'll be taught later. This really is the time. You should begin teaching grip around ages 3 to 4 years of age. And research supports this. It shows that 50% of 3-year-olds have the fine motor ability to hold a crayon correctly. Therefore, grips become automatic or habitual with repetition. So a functional grip will allow the thumb and fingers to create small movements, which allows for children to color and draw with small movements. And lastly, it lays the foundation for successful writing. So in short, if you're setting that foundation for children to learn an effective grip, that's ultimately going to set them up to become confident, efficient communicators later on. So what is the optimal grip? Well, first is the tripod. So the tripod is the most standard, and that's where your thumb is bent and your pointer finger is pointing to the tip of the crayon, and the crayon is resting on your middle finger. And then quadrupod is the other grip. And that's where you're going to bring your middle finger up to the pointer, to the tip of the crayon. And then the crayon is resting on your ring finger. That's for added stability there. So the ability to use 3 fingers naturally develops, and research tells us this. A child learns to use their 3 fingers through play, through finger foods, but the ability to properly position the crayons, that doesn't naturally develop. So this must be taught. It's just the same as if we were teaching a child to use chopsticks or a knife or a fork to eat with. So let's look at how these grips look like with a child's hand. So in these pictures, you can see that children are using pencils. Now, we want children towards the end of pre-K to use pencils, especially the short golf-sized pencils. But we also prefer to begin with crayons and other little tools. So let me explain why we want you to begin with these little tools. When it comes to drawing and writing tools, we recommend little tools for the little hands. And we use little crayons, such as this one that I have here, or the one shown in the picture there. Or we break crayons in half. Now, make sure you don't do that in front of children, but breaking crayons in half is great. If you have that tub of crayons that you're getting ready to throw away because you have all these small little crayons, keep them. They're wonderful for the little hands. They're a perfect size for little hands, and they'll encourage fine motor skills naturally. Little pieces of chalk like this and little tiny sponges like this are going to encourage the use of the thumb, pointer finger, and middle finger needed to develop the necessary muscle strength for an effective grip. So when children have the right sized writing tools, it helps to improve their coordination and is going to promote that effective grip. So now I want you guys to go to the chat and let us know, why do you think we prefer to begin using crayons rather than using pencils or markers to start out with? Why do you think we prefer to begin using crayons before we ever go to pencils or markers?
It's so funny, Christina, with the little crayons. Did you find before you really understood this and went to your first workshop that some children would naturally just break crayons?
Yes.
And then always color with the little end, but we didn't totally know why that was.
And I remember when I was little, like working with little kids before I went to this workshop, I would take those crayons and throw them away thinking, oh, we don't need these, you know? So yeah, it's, and then when you think about it and you start using it, then it's like, oh, this makes so much sense. Little tools for the little hands.
Yeah. And they're saying, I like that, the chat is going so quick, so I apologize. I'm not remembering people's names, but as far as crayons are more resistive, right, than markers or pencils. And you know, pencils are just not as motivating. Crayons are just more fun, and they're resistive, just like chalk is resistive compared to when you write on a dry erase board, right? You don't get as good of feedback as when you use chalk. Some of you can relate to that, the resistive part of it. And of course, you know, the strength part of it.
Yes, most definitely. And that's exactly, and it's motivating to kids to be able to use the crayons. Of course, they're going to have that resistive, that feedback into the hand. Just think about when you take that crayon and you start coloring, the feedback that you're getting into the hand, and then you take that marker and you start coloring with that marker, there's that different resistance there. So children are getting great feedback and understand what their hand is doing when they're coloring.
And what about the flip feature? You want to talk about that too?
Oh, yes. So
super cool.
That's what I love about these flip crayons is we have the 2 different colors on the different ends. So we can get some good in-hand manipulation with these too. And I love the fact that they're small and we've got these 2 colors. It's really motivating to children to use these too. I love reading all these chats too. I could just sit here and read these
we
chats.
could just sit here and read the chat.
Could. I could.
Unfortunately, we have to move on.
I know. Unfortunately, I do. I have to move on, but I'm going to keep checking these out.
Yeah, I know.
But another key for success with grip is demonstration. Demonstration. I cannot say it enough. Demonstration. One of the best ways to make sure a child is understanding how to hold a crayon or a pencil, it's pretty simple. Just show them. So one of the things that you can do to demonstrate grip for success is first teach your child the name of their first 3 fingers, that this is your thumb, this is pointer finger, and this is tall man. And then just moving your fingers, having them, give me a thumbs up, wiggle that thumb around, have your child point with their pointer finger, and then put tall man next to the pointer finger, that tall man's here. Or making a big O, with that pinch and really helping to position that thumb and that pointer finger correctly. Another way to demonstrate is by using music as we demonstrate. And because we know children respond so positively to music, and we have a song called the Crayon Song to teach grip to children, and it's to the tune of Open and Shut Them. And so I'm going to play a video right now of how a teacher presents her lesson to share with children asynchronously, and she's going to play this song of the Crayon Song within this lesson, and so that you can watch this now. Here we go.
Watch me first because I'm going to show you how to hold a crayon correctly. When I hold a crayon, my thumb is bent, pointer points to the tip, and tall man uses his side. I tuck my last 2 fingers in and take them for a ride. Our fingers have a very important job in holding our crayon. Now let's do it together. Do you see your crayon? Let's sing the crayon song as we pick up our crayon. Ready? Pick up a crayon, pick up a crayon. This is easy to do. Pick up a crayon, pick up a crayon. I just show my fingers what to do. My thumb is bent, pointer points to the tip. Tall man uses his side. I tuck my last 2 fingers in and take them for a ride. Now I'm holding it just right, but not too tight. Every finger knows what to do. And now I have a big surprise for you. Let's drop it. Drop your crayon and do it again.
I just love this video. And when you see how she dropped it and she picked it up again, just doing that repetitive motor patterning is going to be so helpful to have children understand how to place their fingers on that crayon correctly. And so this song, kids don't care what we sound like. We just need to sing to them this. And think about it. Just imagine if you were to do this song Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe even more than one time a day. Every time they're sitting down to do a paper crayon activity, that you sing that little jingle like she did. You sing that song. And can you see how that correct motor pattern of holding that crayon would emerge? And it's so simple and so easy to implement that. You can implement that tomorrow. Children love to check each other's grip out too. They want to say, hey, you're doing it right. Hey, let's do it like this. So, and you also know that young children want to please you. So say that they want to be able to bend their little fingers and bend their thumb and strive to hold that crayon just like you're doing. So Tania, I want to pass it over to you so you can move on to our final learning outcome.
Yep, thank you, Christina. And just extending on from that about children wanting to please you, I was such a stickler for grip in the schools when I was going into all the classrooms that children in pre-K and kindergarten in particular would come running up to me. Miss Tania, look at me, Miss Tania, I'm holding my pencil correctly. Look at me, my thumb is bent. Point, whether it was a pencil or whether it was a crayon, they completely, because they knew how important that was to me and they wanted to please me. So they would always come running up. So yeah, it
that's wonderful.
Absolutely makes a difference. And the music is a game changer. Music is such a powerful tool with young children. And trust me, I sang that song by myself. I didn't have the luxury of that video last week in the podcast that I did, and I had to sing it. And if you heard my singing voice, you may have turned it off right there because it would have been horrible for you. But young children, for some reason, kind of tune out our bad voices. So
that's right.
Don't be afraid of singing. All right, so let's do the final objective here. So of course we've got that. We need to do something with that crayon grip, right? It's no good to just sing it and then not do anything with it. So our next learning outcome is to understand how to promote coloring skills using a developmental progression. So this is a developmental approach that we recommend. First, aim and scribble. Next, aim and color. And thirdly, aim and trace. This strategy is really designed to help children pick up the crayon, just like what Christina was showing you before, hold it with the correct grip, aim and place it on the paper, and obviously move it to form strokes, whether they start with scribbling, coloring, or them being more precise as they write or trace their numbers and letters. So let me explain a little bit about more of that in detail. So when children can pick up the crayon, and obviously they're not eating it and throwing it, they're ready to aim and scribble. Children are simply getting the experience of holding their crayons with the correct grip and scribbling freely. So use materials just like you see on the screen where children don't have to color in the lines. The focus on this stage is to observe a child's grip. There's no right or wrong way. We're not critiquing their coloring. We're simply getting them the experience of holding their crayon and freely scribbling. The focus again is on the grip, not the quality of the scribble. So the next stage is aim and color. This requires a little more precision. Look for coloring pages similar to this that promote different directions for coloring, but are also teaching skills such as learning shapes and colors. Avoid pages with too much detail because you want to encourage their creativity too. The focus is still on their grip. The shape of these illustrations will help determine the stroke a child uses. So therefore, the triangle will encourage diagonal strokes. Filling coloring pages give children experience with those circular strokes, the diagonal strokes, the up and down, and obviously the side to side strokes, all of those strokes needed for writing letters and numbers. So they're practicing them in these ways that will translate to when you start teaching them their letters and numbers. Now, if children are unable to organize their strokes to accommodate the shape of the illustration, start with the up and down strokes. We know that they're the easiest. The diagonal will be the hardest. And also, I'm going to tell you too, don't have children color too long. Another reason they switch hands is because we expect them to color longer than what they're ready for. And so it's more important they just do a couple minutes and stick to their dominant hand and keep their grip than it is to color for 5 minutes and their grip falls apart and they switch hands. So look at small bites of time too. So coloring in lines develops gradually and is easier when children follow the direction of the shape. So once children can scribble and color, they're ready to trace letters and numbers and of course trace shapes too. Remember to look for instructional pages to support children's play-based learning and hands-on instruction. So let me remind you about roller dough and stamp and see screen just a few minutes ago. Imagine if children build these letters first with dough, or they stamp them on the stamp and see screen before picking up a crayon. That's called teaching developmentally using a multisensory approach. That's exactly what we recommend that you do. So I want you to remember these 3 things before I pass it back to Christina to wrap up with some final resources today. I want you to incorporate fine motor skills throughout a child's day. Encourage families and caregivers to continue with those fine motor skills at home. We'll give you some suggestions for that too. Create as many engaging fine motor opportunities as you can. Teach grip. Did we tell you? Teach grip. Did we tell you to do it every day? Did we tell you to use that crayon song and sing it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Oh my gosh, it'll make a difference. Grip is with them for the rest of their life. It's a motor pattern that you're initially teaching them, and once they have it, they'll have it for the rest of their life. And of course, teach coloring skills developmentally. Start with aim and scribble activities before aim and color, before aim and trace. Look for materials that will support this progression. And most of all, remember to use little tools like broken crayons or flip crayons or little pieces of chalk or something that's going to promote the use of those 3 fingers as you sing the crayon song every day, before they pick up a crayon, before they color. So Christina, why don't you start to wrap up our time here today by sharing some resources that I know they're all going to love.
I would love to. Thank you, Tania. So I want to go ahead and share some resources with you now. First, many of you may want to learn more about the readiness activities to prepare children for kindergarten. At Learning Without Tears, one of our most popular workshops is our Emergent Writing for Pre-K workshop. In this workshop, you'll use readiness and writing activities to prepare children for kindergarten. You'll learn multisensory and research-based teaching methods. You'll collaborate and share actionable strategies and apply new learning in your practice. Remember to encourage families and caregivers to support learning at home, and we have ways to do that. One of those ways is by going to our website at lwtears.com/resources. And Zoe's going to put this link right in our chat for you. This link gives parents and caregivers ways that they can explore free webinars and resources and downloadable activities with grade level starter packs that include letter formation charts. There's tips about pencil grip, writing activities, and there's so much more. There's just a wealth of information. You can also access and print these resources to send home with your students. What a great school to home connection to be able to offer, making it easier for your families and caregivers. But before we take some questions, we'd like to share a special offer with you today. And I'd like to invite you to visit go.lwtears.com/HiMama10 to learn more about the products we mentioned today during today's webinar. And for a limited time, we're offering 10% off all our products. That's including the Rolo-Doh and the Stamp-N-See screen that we talked about. And it's 10% off of our workshops too by using promo code HiMama at checkout. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Rhea. I think we have time for some questions right now.
We definitely do. I have to say, ladies, this has been fantastic. I was saying to Kaya before this, I never got a chance to do a Learning Without Tears workshop. And I'm kind of jealous that I didn't get a chance to do that. I won't lie. And Tania, a couple of things I'm going to turn back to a couple of things you were saying, because I definitely have quite a few things that are going on. Before we jump in, just to give both you ladies just a second, I want to run a quick poll. Folks, we all know how important this is when it comes to development. It all goes in our lesson planners. We all have it going on our day-to-day lives as educators, making sure that children are promoting this, and echo what both Tania and Christina said. Teach grip. It is very important. Something that I feel like I didn't get enough support in as an educator. So I've learned a lot today. I've got a lot of key takeaways, but quick poll. I'm going to leave this up. Christina, if you want to go on to the next one here for us, sure. Let's jump into some Q&A though. So whoever feels like jumping on for these questions, please, would love an answer. So let's start going back to some of those drawing sheets, and I know both you, Tanya and Christina, you both have gone ahead and said a couple of things about having, following, starting with the scribbles, starting going onto the lines, those coloring sheets, things like that. I loved having them in my classroom because the children enjoyed them. But what do you think is more impactful? And I know a lot of centers pivot between wanting a blank canvas and then also wanting the drawing, the coloring sheets. What's your thoughts on this?
I can judge. Do you want me to go ahead and take that,
Sure.
Christina? I'll jump in. I think it's a combination of both. We strongly believe in creativity. There's a time and a place when a child has a blank piece of paper, for sure. I mean, I am all for children having a blank piece of paper and creating their own masterpieces. However, if you teach a child how to draw a circle, starting at the top, right? Just think about how simple that circle is. All of a sudden, you open up their world to be able to turn that circle into a clock, into a person's face. That circle, that beginning of that circle is a letter C. The full circle is an O, a 0. When you give them these basic skills of helping them with simple strokes of making a circle, you're opening up their world of imagination. A parent that shows a child how to draw a circle, how to draw a triangle, how to draw a square, and they start them at the top of the shape, they have started the process of helping them start their letters at the top. So don't think of it as all or nothing. Think of it as trying to generalize their instruction when they're not with you. So when you're instructing them, my turn, your turn, whether it's Rolodo, Stamp and See Screen, or something else, you're hoping that when they're in free play and they're being creative on their own, they're going to generalize that good instruction. Every good educator knows you have to have a combination of both.
I love that. Tanya, that was a fantastic answer. Christina, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Oh my goodness, that was a great answer.
Powerful.
And I would say that, and when you give a child a blank sheet of paper, sometimes that can be overwhelming to a child, and so it may be that you're needing to demonstrate what, just demonstrate something to them so that they can imitate what you're doing. And maybe that will be their springboard to their creativity as well.
100%. I love that. Let's jump on to another question here.
Sure.
We're talking a little bit, and I don't know, Christina, this might be more in your fancy area because let's talk the little crayons. First of all, I don't think I actually saw the double-sided ones until many years into my educational career. I love them. I also used to throw out my little crayons when I first started, and then I tapped myself because of it.
Yes.
At the same side, as children start to progress, of course, we want to get those in, like you said, small hands, small tools. As they start to progress, do you recommend, going to, especially if you're on the progression to a pencil, as boring as it can be, do you recommend, the jumbo pencil? Do you recommend like going from big to that tinier piece to bring the grip down? Or what's your thoughts on just like going from a crayon, like what would be next steps in progression?
Yeah, so great question. So the next steps, from going from this would be a regular size crayon and having them using that with supervision to making sure that they're holding that crayon correctly as you're transitioning to a regular size crayon. And then implementing, having them use markers as well. That's something that, I use intermittently because children love markers. They love, to be able to use those markers during the day. So I use those intermittently too with them, but I just find that using the small crayons in crayons gives that feedback into the hand that you don't get with the markers, and it takes a lot of control with a marker too, to be able to color with. So I love using the small tools for the small hands, and then transitioning.
Well, and just to add to that too, basically we're saying that at the beginning of pre-K, start with crayons because they're resistive, they have lots of color, they're motivating. Towards the end of pre-K, of course, we use little golf-sized pencils. So they're absolutely going to be ready for golf-sized pencils towards the end of pre-K. And we encourage that in kindergarten, even first grade too. In fact, believe it or not, I had my youngest that's now in college, when he was in high school, he would still pick out the golf-sized pencils when he would do his high school homework. some of you may notice that when you write with a smaller tool, it's easier for you to write with than something long. It has less leverage. So don't think that it's more about the height than it is the width. Okay, because some children with low tone actually do better with a chunkier crayon or a chunkier pencil, but it's more about the height of it. It requires less leverage. So absolutely move on to pencils. But you know, even with children in kindergarten and first grade, they're going to do better with golf-sized pencils.
I love that. I love the little pencil myself too. And I tend to, I don't know, I really grip it when I'm holding on to it. It's like I have action when I'm with it. Whereas like when I'm just holding on to my pen, it's like, okay, well, it's there. But that's fantastic. And I want to jump to as well, because we're talking about grip. Especially because we were talking earlier about, you know, children who are showing dominance. I know we had a little bit going on in the chat. We've had tons actually going on in the chat. I should say a little bit. My goodness. Talking about the dominant hand, when you find, and I'm sure every educator has seen this at some point, and I'm sure both of you have, a child who potentially uses their right hand for pretty much everything, and then all of a sudden they just switch for like one particular thing. Would you want us to correct? Do you recommend that? Do you maybe show, like, is there suggestions on maybe they still have not shown a preference to a hand yet? What's your thoughts around this one?
You know, I'll start out here, Tanya, if that's okay. What I like to do is just making a T-chart, and on that T-chart, put right and left, and then just start looking and observing the child of what hand they're picking those things up with at midline. And if it's mostly the right hand that you see, and a couple times they're picking up the left, well, maybe they're not crossing the midline, or maybe they're getting tired. But I'm really seeing that the majority of the time they're picking up with their right hand, or whichever hand that should be. And then asking the parents to do the same thing. And I do this in about a 2-week span. So having the parents do it as well. And I'll say to the parents, you know, put that spoon and that fork and that toothbrush in midline, and start to see which hand the child is picking those tools up with, to be able to really, that's what I would focus in on as the more skilled hand. Tanya, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would say too. I mean, you've got to look at the fact that 90% of children are probably going to be right-handed, but there's certainly, we can't forget about our left-handed children, right? I mean, and a lot of times it can be genetic. So look at the parents and see if they're left-handed too. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we have to try to establish the hand dominance pretty early on, because the children that are allowed to keep switching back and forth do not become proficient with that grip, and it can be confusing with them, especially when they start to write their letters. Now, some of you may be asking, well, what about left-handed children? Do you have to teach them different when it comes to letter formation? Or you're going to teach them grip the exact same way, but obviously it's going to look different in their left hand than right, but they're still going to use their 3 or 4 fingers. The other thing that you want to pay attention as they start to write their letters is that they still need to go in that left-right sequence, but sometimes you might notice that they do the cross strokes of, say, the T or the capital J or the F and the E. They might do the cross strokes from right to left instead of from left to right. Totally fine. The cross strokes are fine, but it's not okay to do a C backwards. It's not okay to start at the bottom to do a C. It's not, they can't make up their own way of forming language. Unfortunately, it's a little more challenging for them because they're going from, you know, with their left hand, but they still, all the other letters, all the rules are going to be the same, just a little bit more. And the other thing with left-handed children is sometimes they have to tilt their paper a little bit more too, as they start to get older, because sometimes you may have seen they get a hook grip.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So just be aware of that. But for the most part, you're going to teach them exactly the same.
And I just think about with that horizontal strokes, like the F and the E, capital F and E, it's really, they're pulling into the hand. So if you're right-handed and you're making the F right now, you'll think about how you're pulling those strokes into the hand. That's what a left-handed child will do. They're pulling that stroke into the hand.
It's funny, it's the difference. Both of you had mentioned that. I realized, because you guys know this from before, from our conversation here. My husband's left-handed, and he strikes his T in his name backwards compared to myself, who goes the other way, being a right-handed person. But mind you, he doesn't. I know everyone's different. He doesn't do like the hook writing. He does straight across. So everyone who's left in, I think, kind of has their own thing to do it, but on the same side, still very much, like you said, follow the same techniques. They're still learning the same things. The grip is still important.
Demonstration is huge.
Exactly.
That's key.
Christina, Tania, it's been phenomenal. The hour has flown by. I want to give you a chance, and maybe Tania, we'll start with you. Any last pieces of advice, words to wisdoms, happy thoughts you want to leave the crew with today?
Well, just thank you for attending. I don't think I've had so much fun for a while with all these chats and interaction. I almost feel like we're in person, and seeing people from England. Final things that I want to say, I would say key things that helped me when I went to my first workshop more than 20 years ago. Do not ever forget the watch me, it's my turn, your turn. It's so powerful. It's how children learn, and especially when it comes to when they start to learn letter formation. And when you teach children to write their name, please imitate one letter at a time. One letter. Watch me, it's my turn, your turn. Watch me, it's my turn, your turn. I'm telling you, they will write their name within a week or two.
I love it. Tania, thank you so much for everything you've given us here today. It's been such a pleasure. I cannot thank you enough. Christina, any last words of advice, happy thoughts, pieces of wisdom you want to leave us with?
I do. I just want to say thank you to all the educators that are listening. I know it's been a challenging couple of months and year and a half. So we just really appreciate everything that you guys are doing for your young children, and know that you're going to do a great job. This is just look at that demonstration and just have fun.
Christina,
I will
thank
reinforce that too. Thank you. And thank you to you guys too.
Yes, thank you. This has been so much fun. This hour flew by.
A pleasure. I know. It's been such a pleasure. Let's jump in to wrap up, ladies. I cannot thank you enough. But before we do, I'm going to end up our poll just to give ladies final numbers. So part of our questions was asking about planning activities, lesson plans at your centers, of course, incorporating this, and tons of folks are still doing all of this on pen and paper. If you want to check out Hi Mama, we'd love to help you getting off the pen and paper and making sure all the important things are getting communicated with mom and dad and not ending up, at least in my experience, in the back of someone's trunk. At least that's where it's been in the past. But anyways, I'm sure we've all had a crazy time. Recording everything, recording, show notes, certificate, everything will be coming out, because I know tons of people have been asking. They want to make sure they're going to get all these resources. We'll be sending it off in a lovely package to everybody, so don't worry. I know I will be rewatching this later because I just had so much fun listening. I have so many takeaways that I want to get back from this. So next week as well, if you'd like, please don't forget to sign up. Same time, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about oral language development. Bit of a stretch from your hands, but at the same time, very important hand-eye coordination pieces, some really cool stuff. We're going to actually be partnering up with Scholastics, and they're going to be coming on and joining us. So between Learning Without Tears with you folks, Scholastics next, it's been crazy October, let me tell you. So please do take some time to sign up. I know Kaya, you're going to pop that in the chat for us. And if you haven't, we talked about this last week, please do take some time to download our parent satisfaction report. Over 500 families we got answers from. Make this an amazing report up. So many key takeaways. We'll make sure to include this as well in your show notes, so you'll be able to download that if you'd like to check it out. But there's tons of hidden facts in there. Please do take your time to do so. Last but not least, if you haven't heard, please do check out Tania's podcast. We will make sure that comes out. It was phenomenal. Tania, it was phenomenal. Don't worry, I didn't turn it off halfway through. It was amazing. Please, you can subscribe to our preschool podcast on whatever, podcast device you like to listen to. There's Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever you like. And don't forget to follow us on social media, as well as check out Learning Without Tears. We've had tons of links to go out in the chat. Make sure to get all of those out to you folks. But Miss Kaya, did I miss anything? I always have to check.
You got it all. I am as blown away today as I was 12 years ago when I first did my my very first Handwriting Without Tears workshop. It's so much jam-packed into 1 hour. There's tons of amazing resources out there. So we're going to make sure our audience is going home, even though I'm sure a lot of you guys are already at home, with some amazing resources. So thank you so much to you both, Christina and Tania. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone.
All. Have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, and we'll see you next Thursday, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.